You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm.
Good afternoon. It is December 24th, Sunday afternoon, 2023, and we are looking at a phenomenal synoptic weather setup, something very similar to what happened 3 years ago in the year 2020. The year 2020, we had many cities which had warmer temperatures for the December 25th holiday than for the July 4th holiday. Totally unbelievable, and we have once again an unseasonably warm air mass which has set itself up over here in the Midwest, with temperatures in the 50s in the Chicago area, temperatures in the 60s in the St. Louis area. Very high dew point air coming off the Gulf of Mexico for right now. Right now, the moisture is coming from the Gulf of Mexico, is pushing high dew points for this time of the year, which is helping those temperatures stay warm overnight, which allows temperatures to warm up during the day into the 60s, and we're likely going to see a few spots hitting 70 degrees as well. Not for Chicago, that is not happening, that's not part of the climatology, but for places like around St. Louis and areas like that. Now, for those weather enthusiasts that are looking for some fun and stuff like that, so you might be very disappointed to find that where's winter? Where in the world did winter go? First of all, let's go ahead and take you to an ongoing situation, a developing situation, a dynamic developing situation taking place in Nebraska, north central Kansas, parts of South Dakota, but especially Nebraska. This is a shocker. We have a blizzard developing over in that area. Winter storm watches, probably even warnings by now, go into effect early tomorrow morning and stay in effect for 48 hours until Wednesday morning, as a blizzard, if there ever was one. Snow, heavy snow, more than a foot of snow is expected for many of those locations in central Nebraska. This is a cut-off low pressure system with loads of moisture, as we said, coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. As this low pressure system becomes cut off, the moisture also becomes cut off. Nonetheless, we already have copious amounts, totally jam-packed with moisture, no problem initially producing snow, heavy snow at the rates of 1 inch per hour for a solid 15 to 20 hours, tells us the National Weather Service in the Nebraska area, and very strong winds also associated with the system. The system falls apart as it moves east because it is cut off, and the system does not really materialize much as it moves east. But this is the first time we've had snow, a dynamic storm system here in the Midwest for about 2 weeks. The rest of the Midwest will also be dealing with significant weather, but it will be falling as rain and unseasonably warm conditions, as we pointed out in the beginning. So the weather enthusiasts and snow enthusiasts could find perhaps some comfort by looking at the Nebraska weather map. The only problem is most of us do not live in Nebraska, and therefore the question is, what are we to do? So I want to share with you some information that has come out. Just some information. Let's go ahead and we'll say, as we mentioned before, this year is very similar. The weather pattern we have right now is very similar to what happened at the end of the year of 2020. A lot of times climatologists and long-range forecasters like to look at patterns and like to make long-term weather forecasts based upon patterns. Now, that is, So, what we have is a pattern over here, and in the year 2021, let's take a look and see what happened. We had an El Nino weather pattern set up for the end of December, and it continued throughout all of January. That was an El Nino weather pattern. It was a La Nina year, but an El Nino weather pattern developed nonetheless. Something very similar to this year, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. But let's go ahead and look into February of that year. That's when we had the historical Arctic outbreak, which hit Texas. Oh, that's pretty intense laughter over there. But that's when we had that historical Arctic outbreak, which produced winter storm warnings in effect for all of Texas. Really, everywhere in Texas was under a winter storm warning by February 14th. That was Rosh Chodesh Adar. I want to just introduce our audience to the lunar months. Some of the lunar months we're dealing with right now, Teves, Shvat, and Adar. There are many years where Rosh Chodesh Teves. The first day of Teves is a major winter weather event, but that's when solid winter many times comes into the area. But there's other years where it happens around the 1st and sometimes even the 15th of Shvat. That generally, this year that's going to be taking place in sometime in about mid-January. Such as the year 2015, we had a turnover right around that year. That's when we started to get snow on the East Coast and snow even here in the Midwest. That happened around the beginning of Shvat. That happened in the month of January. Now, there are other years, such as in the year 2021, where the turnover didn't take place until the beginning of Adar, and I think that might be happening again this year. Again, the lunar months, the reason why we're using the lunar months is because the gravitational pull is very much connected to the moon. If you have a full moon, you have a strong gravitational pull. You have no moon, you also have a strong gravitational pull. That's to water. The weather is very much connected to water, so it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and connect specific long-term weather events to either the 15th of the month or the 1st of the month. We go ahead and we take a look at the 1st of Adar in 2021, February 14th. All chaos broke loose on that day. We would have to take a look and see when is the 1st of Adar going to be coming out this year. Well, the 1st of Shvat is going to be about 2 weeks from Wednesday, maybe 2 weeks from Thursday. And then the 1st of Adar would be 4 weeks after that, about 6 weeks from Wednesday. So we're looking again into the February month. We could see again some big turnover, perhaps, if we are to rely upon that long-term weather forecasts have accuracy if you make the forecast based on past patterns. So then we have something phenomenal to look forward to. A possible historical Arctic outbreak even in the Gulf Coast states. That's something which would be quite phenomenal. We do have some sound effects over here which are pretty cool, which I have never heard before. So let's press some of the buttons. For right now, again, we don't have much snow in the Midwest. I know that's pretty boo. What's the difference between that? I don't like that one. Okay, got it. We have some very cool stuff over here, no question about it. Heavy rain, a couple inches of rain here in the Midwest, and we're gonna go ahead and call it a night for this one. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone a wonderful night.
You've been listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This podcast can be found on almost every platform where podcasts are available. The following is a weather trailer. We have two things going on. We have evaporative cooling and we also have dynamic cooling, and the two are coming together to produce a major snowstorm in the deep south. The only time you could blame cold air on climate change is when it's a result of the stratosphere warming, which is what causes all the Arctic air to come down south. The way to get a 6-inch snowstorm here in the Midwest and in the southern plains has always been you need 3 ingredients. It's hard to believe the numbers that are being forecasted.
Several additional feet of snow is expected by Monday morning.
Yes!
Hey, we have a special guest on our show. What is your name?
Kitabis.
27.1 barometric pressure. Feet of snow are falling in Japan.
Oh my God.
That's a time of celebration.
Just Google Weather with Enthusiasm and they're all going to come up.